Hey guys, welcome to another video of mine. It's Kamala, and this is another Chelsea transfer news video where I'll discuss all the latest transfer news rumours and of course big news stories regarding Jovic, Ben White from Leeds United, currently on loan from Brighton. Going to be speaking about Marcos Alonso once again and interest warming up, and Inter Milan doing their best to sign Marcos Alonso in the upcoming January transfer window. But before I do get into it, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to my channel if you are new on here. Make sure you hit the bell notifications for every time I do upload, and comment down with your thoughts and opinions on each story that I do talk about. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. And of course, like I said, yesterday, very disappointing result. It has taken me a while to get over it, I'm not going to lie. But going to try and give you guys positive news regarding Chelsea transfer news stories. All the latest news will be on this channel, so of course stay tuned as always. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. And of course, starting off with Ben White. Of course, Ben White, who plays for Leeds United, currently on loan from Brighton Hove Albion, and it was quite surprising. Now the story and publication reports did break this morning after our defeat against Bournemouth, and basically the Sun and the Telegraph are reporting that Chelsea are interested for a shock January transfer move for the £25 million rated Ben White from Leeds United. And he's had a very impressive campaign so far this year. I've heard a lot of good things about him. I watched quite a few compilations about him. I'm not going to lie, I've never watched him because, you know, I'll be honest. However, he does look good on YouTube compilations. Then again, there's an argument that pretty much any player does look good. But I've spoken to a few Leeds United fans. I've spoken to a few fans who have rated him very highly. And apparently he is one for the future. The guy has potential. And he does have attributes that suit Lampard's system. And he would be a signing that would make sense. Because, of course, we heard yesterday that Nathan Ake does have an injury, which will be, you know, put him out for about 6 to 7 weeks, so that could mean the start of February will be his return. So that could rule him out for us, possibly signing him in January. And Ben White is a top centre back who has good potential. Of course, at 22 years of age, of course, very young. 182 centimeters tall, so that's about 6 foot tall, which is a bit disappointing because 6 foot tall, even though in ordinary height that's quite tall. However, playing a centre back in the Premier League, that is relatively short. So I think that again, the issue we have in the Chelsea defence is aerially, and of course he doesn't help it with that situation. However, there is some attributes that Ben White does have that can give a lot of benefits and positives for this squad. And basically, personally, I think that he'd be a very smart and classy signing. Very cheap, £25 million, one for the future, and a top centre back that, you know, we obviously, the thing I like about this signing, it obviously gives us a clear indication of where the club is heading. You know, we want to go for bright, young, talented players that can lead us for the future. There's a plan in place, whereas before we never had a plan, we just sign random players. But now there's a plan for the future. There's a plan in the squad, and we're targeting young, talented players. And Ben White is certainly one of them. He's fantastic on the ball. His passing range is phenomenal. His tackling, his ball interception. Of course, when you play in the Championship, you have to be physically strong. And if he can, you know, adjust the Championship and is physically capable to play in the Championship, then the Premier League will be a breeze. Because of course, the Premier League, even though it is one of the most physical leagues and most demanding, it's nowhere near as physical as a Championship. So Championship is a very good test. He likes to play short passes. He likes tackling. Of course, his one weakness is aerial duels because of course his height isn't the best. But of course, if he's partnered up alongside Zuma, who's the aerial duel king, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But like I said, 22-year-old with bags of potential. This guy could be the one for the future. And for a decent price, like £25 million, I think it'd be a very smart, clever buy. And he's a player I'd rather sign compared to Ake. I think this guy has more potential. He definitely suits the style of play. Of course, he is on loan from Brighton, so of course, if we did buy him, the money would go towards Brighton because he is only on loan at Leeds United. But he has had a phenomenal campaign. So far, he won Player of the Month in the Championship. He was Player of the Month for Leeds United and won Player of the Month in the Championship. And he's been one of the best players in the Championship so far this season, which tells you a lot about this. Of course, the same league that Mason Mount, Fikayo Tomori, Tammy Abraham was in last season, and now they're doing pretty decently well so far for us this season. And Ben White is smashing it. He's only 22 and he's already got Player of the Month in Championship, and he's been one of their much better players in Championship. So for me, that's fantastic. He has loads of attributes and loads of positives, and he wouldn't be quite pricey. And if we sign him plus another world-class centre-back, I'll be all for this move. I think it's quality. And if any of you guys have watched Ben White or are Leeds United fans, please leave me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Give me more of a detailed insight of what he likes to do. Would he be a good fit for Chelsea? please leave me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. But getting into the second part of this transfer story, this transfer video, and that does regard Luka Jovic. Now, all of you, the OGs that have been watching the channel for a while, you know how much I rate Luka Jovic, how many times I was banging on about this guy on a consistent basis on my channel, how I said he would be my dream first choice striker, and how he's the guy that would lead us forward for the next decade, and why this guy is top 3 strikers in the world. And of course, he went to Madrid due to our transfer ban. Now, of course, the latest reports, according to Telegraph, is that Luka Jovic could be loaned out just 6 months after Real Madrid signed him for £62 million. And I'm not going to lie, he has had a very, very poor season so far. He's had 9 La Liga games, he's only scored 1 goal. He's had 3 Champions League games, he hasn't scored in the Champions League. He hasn't scored in the Copa del Rey. He has essentially been very, very poor. And of course, he has essentially been frozen out of the squad. He's not getting a sufficient amount of game time with Benzema playing on a regular basis. He's only getting minutes off the bench, and of course that isn't, the most ideal situation. And for a player of his talent, a player of his caliber, the guy who's going to be top 3 strikers in the world, who has genuine, world-class potential, for me, he's being wasted there on the bench. And I think that for me, he would be a top, a signing of intent, and I would love you, Luka Jovic at Chelsea. Now, of course, I did question my source whether we are still interested. Of course, last summer, I was told that we were really, really interested in Luka Jovic and that he was our first choice priority to sign him. And the fact that the deep thing is, Jovic even had his medical booked at Cobham. That is a peak thing here. I was told this by an inside source that he even had his medical booked at Chelsea. He was waiting to see if Sarri stayed at Chelsea, and once he realised that Sarri was leaving, he then went to Real Madrid. That is what the peak thing is. But of course, he isn't getting sufficient game time at Real Madrid, and for me, he'd be a top world-class signing that would, not only compete with Tammy Abraham, but he would push Tammy Abraham, and of course, it'd bring more depth, more world-class quality to our squad that we need. And for me, I'll be all for this signing. And of course, they are only willing to loan him out, so we can't sign him permanently. But I would say try and negotiate a deal where we loan out Luka Jovic, and then would have a clause in there with an option to buy, an obligatory to buy, so we can sign it permanently at the end of the season. Because if it was just a clear loan, I'm not for it. Because get him to a good standard and then send him off to Madrid. We're not Real Madrid's bitch. We're not Real Madrid's farm. At the end of the day, I would say loan him out, have an option to buy there just in case, and then we're all good. But like I said, I'll be for it, all of it, because the guy is world class. His attributes are phenomenal. This guy is the future Aguero. I'm telling you right now, he's so similar in the way that he molds to Aguero. Short, stocky, strong, insane clinical finishing, buries all the chances, really good with his heading, hold up players on another level. He's an elite striker, an elite finisher, and for me, I'd love Luka Jovic at Chelsea. He'd be my number 1 choice for striker. Leave me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. What are your thoughts and opinions on Luka Jovic? Would you take him at Chelsea, or would you rather us sign a different type of striker? Now, getting into the final part of this video, and that it does regard Marcos Alonso. And Marcos Alonso, of course, has drawn up interest from Atletico Madrid and Inter Milan. And I did mention a video a couple of days ago regarding Atletico Madrid really interested in Marcos Alonso, but apparently Inter Milan are the front runners for his signature, and they're basically willing to sign him, and are, according to Calcio Mercato and various English publications, are trying really, really hard to sign Marcos Alonso in the upcoming January transfer window, as if they, of course, want to sign him on loan and have an option to buy in the clause, so they can sign him permanently in the summertime, of course, if he does perform in Inter Milan. However, Maria Gadascar doesn't want a loan move. She wants a permanent move, of course, as do all of us Chelsea fans. She wants a permanent move, or at the bare minimum, an obligatory to buy, where, of course, once they loan him out, they have to permanently sign him at the end of the summer transfer window, or however long that loan deal is. For me, it is definitely the end of Marcos Alonso's time at Chelsea. He's been frozen out of the squad by Frank Lampard, rightly so. He doesn't fit the system. His performance is not good enough. He's too slow. He doesn't fit the Premier League as he used to. And he's not a registered left-back. For me, Emerson is miles ahead, and we need to sign a world-class left-back in the summer transfer window. For me, Marcos Alonso's time at Chelsea is coming to a near end, and Inter Milan are pushing very hard to sign him in January transfer window. And he is one of the 3 players that is looking likely that they will be leaving in January, alongside, of course, Pedro and Olivier Giroud. So let's see how the story develops. Let's see what happens there. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to my channel if you are new around here. Make sure you hit the bell notification so available every time I do upload. And leave me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Would you take Luka Jovic to Chelsea, or is another first choice striker you would want at Chelsea? And yeah, leave me your thoughts and opinions regarding Ben White. Would you take him as a centre back? Have any of you guys actually watched him? But yeah, leave me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys for my next video. Peace.